is Step 1 with Freddie Wilson. Welcome to another episode of Step 1. I am Freddie Wilson. As a reminder, you can find every episode of Step 1 on Spotify and YouTube. And if you want to see more Step 1, give me a follow on Instagram at Step 1 with Freddie Wilson and Twitter at Step 1 Podcast. Got a great show for you today. My good friend, Joseph Murciano, is joining the show for an awesome conversation about college football. And we do have a wild weekend of college football to recap where we had a lot of upsets. We had field rushes. It was a great weekend. And we also had an NFL weekend where we had crazy comebacks. We had more locker room turmoil and some assistant coach firings. All right, let's ride. All right, we had some classic chaos in college football this weekend. It all started Friday night with a game. And let's be honest, this game does not matter. But we do need to give a shout out to the Cal Bears. Our friend of the show, Matthew Horowitz, was a Cal Bear, so we try to give Cal a little bit of spotlight for Matt. They got their first win in the ACC, so this was a long time coming. Let's be honest, they should have won a few more games. They should have beaten Miami, but nonetheless, the Cal Bears got their first of many wins in the ACC. Moving into Saturday, as I said on the show last week, I did go down to watch Boston College take on Syracuse. So Boston College finally got a win. And again, I don't think they're good. I know I said they were good, but after watching more games, I've taken my previous statements back. Also, fun fact, when Syracuse loses, their head coach, Fran Brown, doesn't shower after he loses games. Said that during a press conference after the game. Apparently, he claims that he doesn't deserve soap because he let his team down and that winners deserve to be washed. Although he did make sure to mention he does brush his teeth. So no showering, but he will brush his teeth after a game. It's a weird ritual, but I'm not one to talk about my weird rituals because I got a bad one going on right now. So I've had this bad habit of not washing my Ducks or Packers shirt during win streaks. It's becoming a tiny bit of a problem because, as you may have noticed, the Ducks haven't lost. So my Duck shirt might be getting to what some people call a little smelly. Now, to be clear, I don't put my shirt on until right before kickoff, and I hang it up when I'm not using it. Is this a dumb ritual? Probably, but is this the reason why the Ducks are undefeated? Probably not. But I'm too afraid to wash off the winning vibes on my shirt. I don't want to do anything wrong. Like, obviously, I'm not playing on the field. I have no control over how the Ducks do. But if it's a superstition thing, and it results in a slightly smelly shirt. So I don't want the Ducks to lose, but my shirt's going to smell. So I think that's a trade-off that is worth it. Some people will disagree. And then there are also some people who don't shower after wins. I don't do that, so I think I'm pretty normal. Anyways, get back to football. We had a big upset in the ACC with Miami going down to Georgia Tech. I've said this for weeks. Miami's not going to win. They're not just going to waltz through the ACC without a loss. And finally, I was right. Now, Miami needs to keep winning, and they will probably have to win the ACC championship if they want to be the playoff. I know, like, with the 12-team playoff and all, like, there's a chance, that they could get in. But the way the committee has treated the ACC in the past, especially any team not named Clemson, just maybe it could be kind of funny if a one-loss Miami team just doesn't make the 12-team playoff. Like, I think they probably will, even with the one loss. But say if they don't make the ACC championship, which I think they will, they might not get kicked out. So we'll see what happens. But I do think like they need to keep winning. And even then, if they lose the ACC championship, they're definitely out. And if they somehow don't make it and are at one loss, they might not make it, to be honest. I think Miami really has a tough road, to be honest, even though they have a super easy schedule. Also, Army is still undefeated, which is pretty cool. And I do think it'd be awesome if Army could find a way to get in the playoff. Moving to the afternoon, we had another big upset with Georgia falling to Ole Miss down in Oxford. Lane Kiffin has struggled a lot against the big SEC powerhouses. This was a program-defining win for Lane Kiffin. It's been a long time coming. He got a signature win. And as for Georgia, their path to SEC championship, let alone the playoff, It's a little tougher. They got a tough game against Tennessee, which we'll get into later. But here's a bold take. Uh, that game against Georgia Tech that the Dogs have November 30th, where they usually clobber the Yellow Jackets. I think Georgia Tech is going to put up a strong fight. I'm not saying win the game, but it's going to be closer than usual because I don't know. Georgia Tech's frisky. I wouldn't say good, but like, how funny would be if the team to really knock out Georgia of the playoffs is Georgia Tech? Let's be honest, it'd be hilarious. In the Big Ten, Indiana finally plays a close game but survives to stay undefeated. It's the first 10-win season ever for the Indiana Hoosiers, and you gotta give it up for them because they are way ahead of schedule for a first-year coach in Kurt Signetti. But this was like their first close game, and they showed they can win close games. It shouldn't have been this close. Michigan's not that good, but nonetheless, Indiana's still undefeated, and obviously we are all looking ahead to that big game against Ohio State in a couple weeks. Also, Colorado might actually be good now. We stopped talking about Colorado because I don't really feel the need to talk about them, but they have a fighting chance to win the Big 12 championship, and they have a good enough team to win the Big 12. This is not something I would have thought at the start of a season, but they're looking like a very good team. And also, like, let's be honest, Travis Hunter is the best player on both sides of the ball. And if you have a guy like him, you're going to win a lot of games. Also, South Carolina is playing some strong football right now, and they are bowl eligible. And I think they're looking, they won't win the SEC. They can't do that. They've lost too many games, but they're looking to create chaos. If they're not going to win it, they're going to leave their mark somehow, and I'm all for it. And on Saturday night, we had a game at a place that was supposed to be a tough environment in Baton Rouge on a Saturday night, but Alabama proved them wrong, got a monster win against LSU. It was it was bad. It was so bad fans were leaving in the third quarter. Again, we say this I think every week. Brian Kelly can't win a big game. And this was a big game. This was a must-win game if they wanted any chance of Kinder playoff hopes alive. And Alabama is a beatable team, and they just had no answer for Jalen Milroe. He ran all over the Tigers defense. And now I think Alabama has a chance to make the SEC championship. And on top of that, I think they're going to win it if they get there. I think if we see that Alabama team for the rest of the season, they're a very good football team. And of course, we're going to talk about the Oregon Ducks getting a win against Maryland and Dillon Gabriel becoming the all-time touchdown leader in college football. Was this the best game? No. But if a subpar game is a game where you still score 39 points, force multiple turnovers, get a pick six, I will take that. Again, Oregon is human, but we did more than enough to win. It wasn't a close game. I mean, it was at 1 point, but we found a way to pull through. Maryland never had a chance. This was the first time we ever played Maryland, and you know what? We're 1-0 against Maryland, so take that, Maryland. And we will end in Utah, where BYU is still undefeated. Now, they had no business winning this game. Their defense shut down the Utes for the second half, though, and Jake Retzlaff did enough to win. And I think BYU is going to be in Dallas for the Big 12 championship. I think they have an easy rest of the schedule. Even if they get a loss, I think they're still going to be there with Iowa State losing. Yes, we forgot to mention that. Iowa State lost again. So the Big 12, who knows what's going to happen in Big 12? It's my favorite conference in terms of chaos. Moving into the NFL, it's another weekend of chaos in football, and it all started Thursday with another epic bout between the Ravens and Bengals. Now, I did say I didn't think the Bengals were going to stop Lamar Jackson, and they didn't. But their offense was firing on all cylinders, especially Jamar Chase with 3 touchdowns. I'm actually happy the Bengals went for two instead of tying the game. With 38 seconds left, it would have been difficult for the Ravens to march down the field, just to kick a field goal. And if they were up, you win the game. So I just think Bengals went for it, and I'm all for it. They need to find ways to win good teams, and this was the chance. I don't mind it didn't work. And to be clear, there were some missed calls, but I like aggressive play calling, and more importantly, I like playing to win. And yes, it didn't work, but you know what? Right move. Moving into Sunday, we had a game in Munich, Germany, where the Panthers got a win, and now for the first time in 2 seasons, they have won multiple games in a row. Now, I can't say I watched much of this game, but the little I saw, Bryce Young looked decent. Can't say the same about Daniel Jones for the Giants. I just I feel like I'm like every Giants fan, probably every football fan. I don't know what the Giants ever saw in him. I don't understand how he has lasted this long or why he deserves such a big contract for being, at best, a mediocre quarterback. I hope this is the season where the Giants move on from Daniel Jones. But knowing the Giants, they're going to keep him around. Moving to the early slot of games, the Bears' offense is now really bad. So bad, in fact, they fired their offensive coordinator. The Bears have showed some promise early on, but that has quickly disappeared. They can't beat a team with a winning record, let alone a team with more than two wins. They have nothing working for them, and the Patriots were just able to get a win. Christian McCaffrey was back for the 49ers, but unfortunately, so was Jake Moody. He missed a bunch of field goals, but he made the one that mattered, which was the game winning field goal. The Niners got an important win. The Buccaneers are falling off on what started off as a really promising season. Obviously, we do need to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. They had no business winning this game. The Broncos looked like they were going to pull off a huge upset, and they did everything right except make a field goal without getting it blocked. It's ridiculous. Chiefs just seem to find every possible way to get a win this season. They get questionable penalty calls. They get toes on the line that are barely on the line. But anyways, they find ways to win. And this week it was a blocked field goal. This isn't a sustainable business model, but it seems to be working for now. The Steelers got a big win against the Commanders, and it's a hard way to lose for the Commanders. You lost essentially by jumping offside on fourth down when they were never going to snap the ball. You just didn't need to fall for the hard count, and they did. I still think the Commanders are a really good team, but the defense does need to get a little bit better, and that will come with time. Also, the Saints finally got a win with a new interim coach, and the Falcons lost the game they should not have lost. The Falcons are still the best team in the division, in my opinion, but this was a winnable game, and they are better than this. They should have won because this is a very winnable division. I think the Falcons have the best team to win this division. Also, Joe Flacco is unfortunately not the answer for the Colts as the Buffalo Bills got another win. Moving to the afternoon, these games were all blowouts. The afternoon games sucked, but I'll give some quick summaries. The Jets are still bad. The Cardinals might be good. The Cowboys are falling apart, and I'm all here for it. The Chargers are fun when they play against bad teams, and the Titans, they're just bad. Moving into Sunday, moving to Sunday night, we had a comeback for the ages with the Detroit Lions. The Houston Texans were doing everything right to stop the Lions. It seemed like they found a way to stop this offense, and it looked like they were going to get a big win. The Lions just found a way to win. If the culture of the Lions is based on grit, then this game embodied that because they were not playing well. And Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions, yet they found a way to win the game, and the Texans are skidding. So the AFC South, it might be up for grabs. I still think it's the Texans division to win, but I don't know. Maybe the Colts can find a way to sneak in. We'll see. And on Monday night, the Dolphins got a win. It's not like they played well because they didn't, but I think there was a bigger reason why they came out and were able to win this game. The state of Florida had a bad weekend of football. The other two NFL teams lost. All the college football teams lost. And collectively, they were 0 for 11 in football games in the state of Florida. And the Miami Dolphins were their last hope. So I'm convinced, in part, of why the Dolphins won was because they were probably motivated to not have that meme of 0 for 12, the state of Florida, this football weekend. And now, let's get to my interview with Joseph Murciano. All right, to welcome on, it seems like we're in a Michigan trend, back-to-back Michigan fans, but a different guest this time. This is your first time on, Joseph. Welcome to Step One. How are you?
Good. Appreciate being on, and it's always good. That's how I know you have a good podcast here. You have more Michigan guys, the better the podcast gets.
You are our third Michigan fan on the show, and I actually, you know, both of the other ones, your former roommate Adav, who we'll get to because I got some questions about Adav. And we had Seth Isaacson on last week, but I actually have a question I never asked either of them, and I will. I thought of today. What makes a Michigan man? I've always wanted to know.
Well, if you think of all the best qualities in throughout human history and just kind of mold them all together, that is really the epitome of what a Michigan man is.
All right, that is an
You
A
ever heard
plus
of
answer.
You ever heard? Actually, Harbaugh was asked the same question today on the Pat McAfee show, and he said that he just absorbs the team culture from each person. He says he gets to know all these people and absorbs all of them and takes the best in all of them, and that's what makes him a Michigan man.
and he's bringing that to the Los Angeles Chargers.
He is. He is. We miss him dearly.
I mean, he wouldn't have been coaching if he was still there because I don't think he's allowed to coach in the NCAA.
I don't know about
Do you
that.
have
The
an opinion
NCAA.
on the Connor Stallion thing? We've talked a little bit about it on the show. I did watch the documentary.
Yes, as did I.
Uh, you know, I'll give him a credit. He had a goal and he made it happen.
Yes, that is true. He's a really weird guy.
I mean, I think he's just a very driven, very like hyper focused person, and he just knew I want to do this. This is how I get it done, and also I might break a few rules while I do it.
Yeah, but he he went way over the top. He I don't know. You said you watched the documentary, so
Oh,
you know that
yeah,
he went to the United States Naval Academy and then did 5 years in the Navy in order to coach football at Michigan. That
my
was
the
not
weird part about the
necessary.
whole Navy thing was he just kind of made it seem like he walked into the football office. It was like, "Hi, my name's Connor. I played high school football. How can I help your team?" And they're like,
I,
"Okay."
that might actually be what
It
happened.
could. I mean, I've gotten a job before where I said, "My name's Freddie. I want to work here."
Yeah, that's how a lot of people get their jobs.
But it's
But
just like I don't know. It just seemed like was always like something like, no way did that happen like that. Like just shows up to Michigan. He's like, "What can I do for you?" And next thing you know, he's like maybe committing some sort of espionage type thing.
allegedly, it's
Allegedly,
all it's none of it's been
allegedly.
proven.
Like, and again, like I don't think he inherently broke any rules. If anything, he just showed like how lax the NCAA rules are and how they make sense.
Yeah, there was a couple things that he did that he got caught for, which was having he bought his friends tickets
That thing made no
to other
sense.
well, he bought his friends tickets to other games and had them film the other team's
But
sideline.
like the fact that like when they asked him like why he's like I like going to sporting events and I just like how my friend but they were always very good seats.
They're great seats and they
If
did
you're a
have
grad assistant
cameras.
in Michigan, you're not making that kind of money to dish out 50-yard line front row seats. Like I'm assuming he was a
Yeah,
grad assistant. Like you're talking like 1,200 a month at best.
I don't know what his official title was. I get the feeling that however much money he needed, they would just give it to him, no questions
I mean, I
asked.
feel like someone must have, it's a public institution. I feel like someone must have delved into his salary. I feel like that's got to be
Oh
common
yeah,
knowledge.
that
Someone
is
must have looked into it. I bet we can find out.
it is it's probably easy to find out. And there's so many diehard Michigan football fans. They'll do anything for the team to win. It couldn't
And
have been hard to find this money.
and he went for it, and you did win a championship,
Yes.
but this season not as good.
This season, I don't
Hey,
know how to explain
you
this season.
almost beat Indiana. I I would have. I'm rooting for chaos, so I would have loved to have seen you guys beat Indiana.
I would have liked to see us win that game as well. We did win. The most important game of the season for Michigan this year was Michigan State.
And
If
I
you
mean,
lose,
you beat Michigan State, so that's a biggie.
it is, and it's the only team. I mean, Ohio State's obviously our biggest rivalry, but we just don't. We can't, we're gonna lose this year, and it's so Michigan State's our next biggest rivalry. We took care of business there.
Michigan
I
State's
think
not
you
that
just,
good.
yeah, I think we just kind of wrap it up now.
And
Get the freshmen in,
give
get them some
Ohio
playing
State maybe
time.
a run for their money.
I I think it'll
I
end up looking like the Oregon game.
probably. I don't know. I still think Ohio State. I don't think they're. I think they're very good, but again, I don't think Will Howard's that good.
I agree with you, but Davis Warren could be the worst quarterback in college football.
And you have don't forget about Orgy, the
Or
the
he
running back
doesn't throw the ball.
who happens to be called a quarterback. But I think we're noticing a trend at
Yeah,
Ohio State where like they always had the best QBs. It was always like the next guy was the best quarterback like ever. And we've kind of ended that era. Now we're kind of into like the above average white dude quarterback era for Ohio State because you had it with whatchamacallit. You had it with
McCord.
Kyle McCord,
Yeah.
who panicked when he thought he might not start again, so he was at Syracuse. We
Yeah.
saw him play this weekend. He did lose. I went to the game. at Boston College. Common Core got absolutely demolished, as he
Yeah,
should. But again, like now you're with Will Howard, and they're very similar quarterbacks, in my opinion.
I agree with you. I don't think that Kyle McCord should have left. I don't know why they pushed him out.
I don't think he was
Um,
pushed out. I think they merely just said, hey, like every other player in every other position, like this is Ohio State. We get the best of the best. You're going to have to earn your position. I don't think it was a threat. I think it was just an honest conversation saying, like, yeah, like just because you had this decent season doesn't mean you're better than everyone else. You don't get preferential treatment.
yeah, but you also don't recruit a transfer quarterback if
I
you
think
have
when they
faith in
got
your
Will
current
Howard after
quarterback.
the fact, I think. I don't think they were. I
Yes,
don't think they were
no,
seeking out Will Howard until
you're
McCord
right,
left.
but they were definitely flirting with a lot of quarterbacks in the
I mean,
transfer
and I
portal.
don't blame them. Again, like it's not the worst idea, but again, I think he shouldn't have left, and I think Will Howard is using his opportunity. But again, the question obviously you didn't beat Oregon again. You lost by one, but still, like they're going. What happens when they get to the playoff? Like, can they? Are they going to win it all? I don't think so.
I also don't think
I
so.
just, I mean, I still think Oregon could win it all, though. But again, there are
I
some
think so
good,
too.
there are some good teams in the SEC, though, and there's going to be that like team that catches fire in the playoff.
Yeah, the problem with Ohio State since Urban Meyer left and since Ryan Day took over has been their defense. They have not been able to put together a defense that was as unstoppable as they had when they won a national championship.
Well,
It
yeah,
was
of course.
unbelievable.
I mean, but Urban Meyer's just always had a good defense going for him. Well, Meyer's just an
Yeah, I
all-around
mean,
coach, and average dude, great coach.
he's a good coach, but if you look at what he's done in big games, it hasn't been impressive. The
Yeah,
last 3 years, or
Ryan Day in big games is not great. Again, like they should have beat Georgia. They should have beat Georgia when they lost in 2022, but
yeah, well, they
didn't.
gave up 50 points that game.
I know, but they had a chance,
They did have a chance. That's what I'm saying. Their defense never holds up in big games ever.
and they would have been TCU. So they've had their opportunities. All right, I think we've asked every Michigan fan of the show, and just every football fan, it hypothetically, if Ohio State were to lose to Michigan this year, which I don't think they will, would Ryan Day get fired?
I think you have to fire him.
But then you have a great coach is available.
That is true. I don't think it would be that hard to get someone else to come coach
No, of
at
course
Ohio
not.
State.
That's not the issue. It's more the fact that you're just giving Ryan Day to another program.
Well, it's not yes, but it's a little bit more complicated than that because he inherited the best program in college football and
And I
hasn't
think they,
done anything with it.
I still think they are
He's
one. They still are the premier program. Yes, they haven't won a national championship, but that one national championship is hard.
so they haven't not only won a national championship, but they haven't made the playoffs every year, and they're getting worse every year. They're not what they were 8 years ago when he inherited the program. This like they're like you said, this season, last season, the year before, they're not that good. They're
I
not
mean,
super scary. The Big Ten wasn't that good. The last like 5 years, it was literally just Michigan and Ohio State, and they
let's
consistently
not
lost to
forget Penn
Michigan.
State,
Penn State is the most fraudulent football program there is in the country. It's unbelievable. Every single
but the
year
whiteout.
they go 8-0 at 7 or 8-0. They either play Michigan or Ohio State. They get spanked. They go 2-2 the rest of the season, and they think about firing their head coach.
They're not
That
going to
is
fire
Penn
James
State.
Franklin.
That
They're, they
that's what
won't
Penn
though.
State. No, they never do because they can't get anyone else, and they always say, "Oh, Drew Aller's the answer. Whatever quarterback they have is the answer," and they're not. They're just not a good
Yeah, I don't
program.
think Penn State's. This is not their year. It never is. Let's be honest.
No, it's never their
And I'm
year.
still mad they didn't use the whiteout for Ohio State. And we have gone on rants on this show.
But Freddie, you got to look at their historical
I
record.
don't.
They're
It's the
not. They're like
you gotta
500 in
use
their
it for the
whiteout
biggest game
games.
of the season.
They're not that good in their whiteout
I
games.
know. I was shocked to learn that. I thought it was a guaranteed win. Apparently, it wasn't.
No,
I
because
learned
that
that the hard way last year because I was like, went on this whole rant and I did some stat check, and turns out they're like 500 during the whiteout.
yeah.
Um,
They're not that
so now
good.
they use it on winnable games, which is a real
Maybe
shame.
it's too loud.
I
Maybe
wanted,
the problem is it's too loud.
I mean, I know Washington got absolutely smacked during the whiteout, but I thought like they were marching that first drive. I'm like, if they score on a first drive, like, could this happen? It didn't,
Yeah,
obviously, but I thought like,
yeah,
how funny would it be if they like actually take all this away in one drive?
that would be
But
awesome.
all right, but like realistically, do you think it's Oregon win a Big Ten, or do you think who do you think the Big Ten finals or conference championship is even going to be? Because the question is,
It's
it's really going to come.
close.
It's going to come down to. I still think Oregon will be in it. That I think that's like not guaranteed, but close.
Yeah,
It's a question of who wins the Ohio State Indiana game, and I think that's going to be a fun one.
so I think that it takes a certain amount of years to reach elite level status for college football program. And
And
Indiana's on the
Kurt's
right track,
and
but
Kurt
they're not
Signetti has
there.
fast tracked that process really.
He has. He absolutely has. But you see that they're scared against historically good teams. Like Indiana did not play a good game against Michigan at
Yeah,
all, and Michigan is not good. Ohio State, I think, even has more of a fear factor.
and
And I don't
also
think they
it's
get
at
through the
Ohio
hump.
State, so I
Yeah.
think we're gonna have another Oregon Ohio State game, and that'll make
I,
me feel real worried.
I think
But
that that'll be the case too. But
not to
you have
brag,
two
2 and
you
0
have
against Ohio State in my time as an Oregon Ducks fan.
you can also have two losses this year and make the college football
I
playoffs.
know, but
So you don't have that much to worry
you
about.
want that bye week or that
Yeah.
home field game because those home field playoff games are going to be electric.
Yes.
And also, Penn State gets a home playoff game, whiteout 2.0. You got to do a second whiteout.
Yeah, I agree.
I will advocate.
I don't
I
think
have
Penn
no
State makes it.
influence, but I will advocate hard for that. If they get a home playoff game, they got to do another whiteout.
Penn State is not
They're gonna
going
go to.
to
They're gonna
make
be in the
college football
playoff.
playoffs, in my
They're
opinion.
gonna be in it. They're not gonna lose
I
to
don't
anyone
think they will.
else.
I think they'll find a way to screw it up.
No, who else are they gonna
I think
lose
they
to?
will.
They don't play
What's the rest of the
Michigan.
schedule? Who's
They don't play Michigan. They don't
no,
play
but
Indiana.
they would be they would let's see. What's the rest of their schedule look like? So if they don't play anyone difficult
Okay,
the
they
rest of the
play
season,
on the road at Purdue. Okay, maybe the spoil makers will come out. Maybe, probably
yeah,
not.
yes.
Minnesota on a run at Minnesota again. That one could be for a seat because we're a PJ Flight podcast. I mean, we basically have the same hairline. I thought about doing PJ Flight as Halloween, and then I realized in New York City, no one would know who that is, so it wouldn't work.
I think you're right here, Freddie, actually. They may not
And also
lose.
And then Maryland's frisky, but they're not good. They
They're
gave
really frisky with Tualia.
Yeah, but Tulia wasn't playing. At
I
least
know.
because we played them over to the Ducks played them, and I will give them credit. They got receivers.
Yeah.
Like they've
They're
uh, it
they're
was weird.
sneaky
Like
good.
it didn't feel it obviously it was a win and we still scored 39 points, but it just felt like it wasn't the best game ever, and we still scored 39 points. Like
Yeah.
and like Maryland did figure something out. They have
They
dudes.
always do. It's a
They
trap
have
game every
receivers.
year.
They just don't have a complete team. But they're
I
another team that I
yes.
think could be on the rise, maybe. But I do think Penn
I
State's
think
going to
they
win
missed their
out.
window a little bit.
Yeah, I think Penn State's going to win out. They're not going to make the obviously they're not going to make the Big Ten championship, but they'll make the playoff and they'll probably host a playoff game because it's going to
I
be.
could see that.
Let's be honest, like the Big Ten and SEC are going to be have the most representation of a playoff.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have any SEC takes? Because we had a wild SEC weekend.
Yeah,
Uh,
we did. So I
I
think
think
Georgia
Bama's
misses
making
the
a championship.
playoffs.
I think Bama's making a championship. I don't think they're going to win it, but I think they're going to make it.
You sure? So I don't know. I don't think
Very manageable
that
schedule.
they no for sure, but they have to.
You have to win out, but
I mean, you have to win
we're gonna
out. It's so foreign to me to think about making the playoffs without having to play the SEC championship. They're not
I
going to
mean,
make the SEC championship.
Bama's done that before in a
I
four-team
know.
playoff.
So it's yeah. In a
Very
way, it
okay.
hurts you to make the SEC championship.
If you you have to win it, then you get to buy. But if you don't win it, and you're like a
You're
one-loss
out
team.
for
I
Bama
mean,
and Georgia.
we'll if it's
If they,
Bama
you
or
can't
Georgia, then yeah,
do
you're out.
you can't exactly. So it hurts them to be ranked higher than the other. They
Again,
want to keep
but
like an
Georgia has a
eight,
way
nine,
harder schedule. Georgia has Tennessee, so they have a way harder schedule.
but they
But
haven't done that well. They
I
beat
but
Texas. That was a good win.
the
But
defense is good. It's the offense that's killing it. Carson Beck.
yeah,
You want to know what Carson Beck decided to come back for three reasons, and so far none of those three reasons are working out. Number one,
let's
win a Heisman. That's not going to
yeah,
happen.
that's
Number
done.
two, become a first round draft pick. Probably
Not gonna
not.
happen.
Number three, which could happen, but let's be honest, it won't. Win a national championship.
Yeah, he
So
should. He shouldn't.
he's so
Yeah,
far at least he's probably 0 for 2, and I think he's gonna go. I don't that Ole Miss loss really hurt him.
it did.
And I just want to say, our good friend Eli Hearn, friend of a show, he told me when we saw him a couple weeks ago, I think Georgia's winning the national championship. They're not going to lose to anyone else. They only lose to Bama. A week later, they lose to Ole Miss. Just saying.
Yeah, they're not the team that they were, and Bama certainly isn't
They're
either.
not, but again, I think Jalen Milrow is really good.
I do
And
too.
also very manageable schedule. You play Mercer, that's a win right there, guaranteed. Oklahoma on the road.
Yeah,
Oklahoma's
that's
not that
easy
good.
way.
And then
Yeah,
Auburn. Auburn's if it were at Auburn, maybe. It's not.
all
It's at Tuscaloosa, so Auburn is absolutely not winning that game.
Auburn has historically given them
When
issues.
it's at Auburn, it is not
Okay.
at Auburn. They should have won. Auburn should have won last year. That play was a
Yeah.
fluke. Just remember, like I kind of knew someone was off. Like they're rushing two dudes. Miller has all of his. I'm like, what are they doing here? Like it's fourth and goal from like the 30 something yard line. Like go for like all you gotta do is just tackle him, or not
Yeah.
even tackle him. Just like don't let him get off throw. It was ridiculous. But Alabama just found a way to win last year,
Yeah.
and they were a play away from beating Michigan. I know they were never going to win, but they were a play away.
Well, I wouldn't say that they were never going to win. They could have easily
They
won
could have
that
easily
game.
won. Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
it was a
It was written in the stars for
I
Michigan to
know it was
win.
Michigan's year last year, but so yes, I could see Alabama maybe being at the SEC championship, maybe winning it. Kalen DeBoer is a winner. It pains me to say it.
You think so? I don't think he's that much of a winner.
I
He got
mean,
smoked in the national
I
championship.
know he was. I know because it was Michigan, but like it was a
It was a great
he took
season.
a program that was going nowhere and turned Washington, and obviously like he turned Washington around only to leave 2 years into it.
Yeah.
Uh, which I'm glad he did because otherwise they were definitely going to hire Dan Lanning and Oregon would have been in shambles. But I'm glad it was Kalen DeBoer. And I think he's on the right track, and I think the name helps, and I think like they have a good enough roster, and I think he got a bunch of guys to stay, specifically the quarterback,
Yeah.
like Seth, and I think they're pretty good. Um, I think that win against LC really like showed like they're still Alabama
That is true. So generally, yes, but he in his first season lost to Vanderbilt.
again. That was a fluke.
But Bama doesn't have fluke. That is what Bama
I
is.
know,
They
but
don't
this is
fluke.
the SEC. I know Bama doesn't have flukes with they never had flukes with Saban, but these things happen.
You're right. They do happen, but he now has a 0% margin of error.
Oh, absolutely. And again, I still think they have a path. I think it's gonna be hard, but any other SEC teams you think like could be relevant, like Ole Miss? Do they
Ole
have
Miss is relevant.
Ole Miss is good? I think I don't think A&M's all that good.
Yeah, I kind of
I
agree.
think A&M found something, and then South Carolina ruined it real quick. I
I
think
can't believe that A&M got Jimbo Fisher, who flopped so bad. I
And
really thought that was going to be a national championship team.
la-
They got all the
la-
5 stars, everything you could possibly ask for, they had, and he just flopped.
yeah, and I think Mike Elko is a good coach. I think they got I wouldn't say a better coach. I would just say they have the right coach for the right team.
That's fair.
And I think I don't know why it didn't work out for Jimbo. It's just why do you call yourself Jimbo? That is a football guy name.
Yeah,
Like
you have to be good.
like you can't go around like it's like Joe Burrow with the frosted tips. Like if you're not playing well, it's a bad look. It only looks cool when you win. Same with being
Agreed.
named Jimbo.
I
All
agree.
right, other conferences. Big 12. That's my favorite conference in terms of chaos.
Okay.
I think BYU's winning it all.
I
Come on.
agree.
BYU Jew, come on. Jake Retzlaff.
Yeah,
They had
that's
no business
incredible.
beating Utah, and they still found a way.
I feel bad for Cam Rising.
I do too, but he also beat the Ducks 2 years in a row, so I don't feel that bad for him.
He was going to be a first rounder and tore
I
his
know.
ACL. Now he
He's
fell
done.
off a cliff. Yeah.
It's just bad luck. It's not a bad player. He's just bad luck.
No, I agree. I
Um,
feel really bad for him. Especially he beat USC. By the way, hate Caleb Williams.
why do you hate
I'm his
Caleb
biggest
Williams?
hater.
Why?
There's so many reasons. The
I
first
mean,
reason
I'm not a fan of him either, but
he might have been the most overhyped player in the history of the sport, besides maybe Jamarcus Russell. But he's up there with him. He
I've not fought
did
a
not
Jamarcus
win.
Russell in a long time.
He never won a big game all of college. He all he did was make some spectacular throws against teams that had like 1/100th of the budget that USC has, and he's throwing like darts against 0-star recruits. He gets to the NFL and he does the same thing he did in college. He throws 4 touchdowns and 300 yards against one win teams, and he has I don't even know if he's thrown a touchdown against teams that have more than one win.
But
Has he?
I don't know. It's not
The
going
last
well for
three
him.
games he hasn't done. It's not at all, and they're
And the
thinking about
Packers are
benching
going to
him right now.
win again because I've said from the get go, I
I
will
would be
never say
careful with
Caleb.
that.
I will no, I will never say Caleb Williams is good. He has beat the Packers like twice, which is
He
a
hasn't
very
beat any
high
team with
bar
more
for a
than one win.
Chicago Bears quarterback.
It is.
Because I think Cutler only did it twice. The last, you know who the last quarterback of the Chicago Bears to beat the Packers was? It wasn't Fields. I'll give you a
Was
clue.
it Foles?
No, it was Mitch Trubisky.
Wow.
Because yeah, Foles Foles never did it. Andy Dalton never did it. Justin Fields definitely didn't do it, and Caleb
Yeah.
Williams isn't going to do it either.
Yeah. No, he's
Um,
not. And I mean, the Bears ruined him as much as he didn't perform. It
Again,
takes two to tango.
it's halfway through the season. Things could change.
It's
But
not, it,
anyways,
it's getting worse.
back to the Big 12. Like it's
Got it.
does Colorado have a chance? And we're not a huge
Absolutely.
Colorado podcast. We're not big on Dion. We
I don't know why that is. He is a winner.
oh, he is a winner. I'm not saying he isn't. I just think he's a lot.
He's a lot, but
I I I,
throughout
I
his
was happy
career,
they kind of failed last year because I thought it was way too much hype for a guy showing up like
yes,
they won one game the year before. Like let's start winning some games and then like
yes,
yeah, they got
100%.
some. And I was there when Oregon destroyed them and basically killed the season. It was glorious.
Yeah. So it is. That's what I'm saying. It takes a while to build a college football program, and it takes
And I don't.
another
But
couple of
my
years to
issue
be
is I don't
elite.
think he's like building from the ground up. I think he's just hitting the portal, and
Well,
then
that's more or less the same
I
thing.
know, but it's different because he's not like because those guys are going to graduate, and then he's just going to have to go for the portal every year and like m mix and match players until he finds a good combo. And again, like a portal's
Yeah, but
helpful,
he's
but
also
you can't
recruiting
build
five
your entire
stars.
roster out of the portal. You have to like
No.
you have to recruit him
Yeah.
and like if you need one specific guy, go to the portal, sure. And he's going all in on the portal, and it's working for now, but I don't think it's sustainable.
It's
And also,
not,
what's going
but
to happen when
he's
Shador
gotten
graduates?
those
What's
guys.
going to happen when Shador graduates? What's going to happen when Shiloh graduates?
So yes, I mean Shador and Travis
I
and
think Shiloh. I think maybe Shiloh's
uh,
not, but I think Shador and
and Travis
Travis are
Hunter.
done.
Yeah, for sure. They're going to the NFL. They're going to be picks 1 and 2, I think.
You think Shador is really a top two pick?
Oh, 100%. I mean, he plays the most sought after position, obviously, which is quarterback, and
Yeah.
he's, in my opinion, by far the best quarterback in college
I think
football.
he's the best. I think he's the best quarterback draft. I just don't know if it's a quarterback year for the draft.
Maybe, but if the teams that are going to be picking 1 through 3 do need a quarterback.
It might be the year of a trade out. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
We'll see.
Is Question is which position is Travis Hunter going to play in the NFL? Because he's not going to do both. There's no
Why
way in
not?
hell. Because I just don't think it's sustainable in the NFL to do that. I'm not.
I mean, there's always a first.
There's always a first, sure, and when I heard he plays both positions, I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't realize he was going to play 150 snaps a game and also
Yeah,
like be the best player on both sides of the ball.
yeah, he's insane.
So he could, but I think it's really hard to do that.
It
But
is. Yeah,
again, whichever position he plays, a team's going to get a very good player. It's just a question of can he do both? I think in the
I think
NFL,
he can.
it's a much longer season. It's a lot harder. You're not going to be the best athlete on the field. Like
No,
I think you would really have to hone in on one side of the ball. And
I think they'll
I think
tell
it's
him
gonna be
that,
this.
and I don't think that
I
he's
think
going to
he'll be
listen.
like, okay, I'll prove you wrong, and I'll try, and maybe he'll succeed. All right, but yes, I do think Colorado could is unfortunately going to make the playoff. I think they're a lot better than I thought they were. I was
I
kind of
agree.
I was thinking no what I thought North Dakota State was going to beat them, so I didn't think they were going to be this good at this point.
I didn't either, but it makes sense that they are.
It absolutely does. And is Travis your Heisman pick? He's not mine.
So I think that it's either, well, barring that the season goes as well as it has been for Colorado, I think it's either Travis or Shador.
You think they're both going to be there?
I think they'll both be there. I
Uh,
don't know, like, so
my pick's Ashton Genty all the way. I
yeah,
want a
so
running back. I want a running back to win it, and I want even better a non-power four running back to win it.
so that's the thing. I don't think college football will
You,
do that.
I think if you did you see that game against Oregon? I know they didn't win, but he ran for about 200 yards and like three touchdowns and almost beat what is now the number one team in the country.
Yeah, he's
And
an
it
awesome player.
wasn't the offense, it wasn't a defense, it was Ashton Genty versus the entire Oregon Ducks.
Yeah, I'm not denying he's an awesome player. I just don't think he'll be the Heisman.
I mean, numbers are numbers. I know, like, yeah, the competition is a little weaker, but the Mountain West isn't that bad of a conference. It would be one thing if
No.
he was like putting up those numbers in Conference USA, but the
Yeah.
Mountain West is a step above, in my opinion.
But that's a historically quarterback dominated award.
I know, but I
And
want a running
B,
back to win it.
it would be cool. Yeah. And if he was doing what he was doing in a Power Four conference, I think it would be pretty unanimous that he would win.
I mean, again, we'll see. I think he's going to be there, and
He'll be there. He'll be there for
I
sure.
think we have our finalists, barring anything crazy. I think obviously Travis will be there. I think Ashton Genty will be there. I do think Dylan Gabriel will be there. I
Yeah.
don't. I want him to win it, but again, like he needs to have a good 2 weeks. Like he needs to have the last 2 weeks of the season. He really needs to put up big numbers just to
Yeah.
pad the stats a little bit. Like you need to have like a six touchdown game.
Yeah.
And again,
I
we're
think
going.
Milrow would be there
Me and the
too.
boys are going to Wisconsin this weekend, so maybe we'll see it.
Yeah.
We're
You
going to be
might.
also. Will Wisconsin? You've been to Wisconsin a couple times. I know
I've been
that.
Wisconsin.
Uh, will Wisconsin fans get mad if I do jump around with them? Because I've always wanted to do it.
I'll tell you a story about me doing jump around at
Okay.
Wisconsin. this was the year, I think I was a sophomore in college, and this was before JJ and Cade. So this was Shea Patterson.
The good old days.
And no, those were not the good old days. I was there, I was in the student section, I was with my girlfriend, and I was the only guy wearing Michigan shirt. And I don't know if you know how the jump around works.
You
So
jump.
right before they play jump around, they have a, a section letter race. So every seat is assigned it's within a section, and that section is determined by, or it's like labeled by a letter.
Mhm.
So in the Megatron, it had like letters N, O, M, and P. I'm making that up. I was sitting in section like N, I think. And so they're all racing. The section I was in was in the way back, and
Is there
out of
letters on a
no,
jumbotron?
it's on the jumbotron. They're racing 100 yards.
Okay.
So the
What do you
section
get
I
if
was
you
on,
win?
you're about to find out. The section
Okay.
I was on was in dead last, and of course, out of nowhere, it jumps ahead 30 yards and finishes first place. And the student section, especially the section I was in, was going nuts. Everyone was freaking out. Someone threw a beer at me. Popcorn was thrown at me. People were chirping me the whole
Okay.
time. And then right after that, jump around goes on. I must have been the most miserable sports fan in the state of Wisconsin at that point. We were down probably 20 points.
Well,
They
what do
had
you
just
get
got
if
a
your section wins?
you just get animated. You
Oh,
get
you don't get anything?
no, there's no you don't get anything, but you get like
So
30 seconds
they just
of
do this thing for like some reason.
yeah, you're gonna see it's crazy.
All right, I'm
So you
looking
get
forward to it.
you get 30 extra seconds of like the pure euphoria of the jump around song. People are going nuts, and then it goes into jump around.
Which I'm really looking forward to because I've always wanted to do it. It's gonna be weird, like
Yeah.
being in all Oregon gear, like doing it with. It'd be more funny if we're like winning by 40.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
I don't know if we will. I don't think we're gonna be winning by that much, but
I was also there in a year where Michigan won by a lot, and jump around was not as fun in the student section.
I can imagine it's probably more fun when you're winning.
Yeah.
And then they all leave anyways. Well, the
Yeah.
students
Well,
leave.
there were years where we were in college where Wisconsin was a potential national champion. With
I
the year
mean,
they had Jonathan Taylor, they
I
had
know, but
all
they're
these
doing.
running backs.
Luke Finkel is changing the culture of that school. They used to be just running 95% of the time.
Yeah.
Your quarterback would be average, and he would just ground and pound, and that was a sustainable business model for the most part.
Yeah.
And then Luke Finkel's like, you know what? Let's do some air raid.
Yeah. Did
It
not
wasn't
work.
going to work with Tyler Van Dyke. It's not working with this guy. They are an average Big Ten team now. All right, before my
Agreed. And
final question, we did not talk about the ACC, which it might not be as bold of a take anymore. I think SMU is winning it.
you think I think
I really do.
Clemson has a little gas left in the
I
tank.
think I think SMU is going to be in the conference championship because they have an easy schedule.
Yeah.
Uh, they they somehow managed to go for the ACC. They didn't play. They never played Clemson in the regular season. We're never going to play Miami, so we're not going. We're going to see one of them in the conference championship, and I don't think Miami and Clemson play each other, to be honest. So
So I think here's my hot take of the SC. I think Miami is an absolute fraud. I don't think they're good at all.
thank you.
And I don't think that they make the AC championship. I think they're going to lose a couple more
I
games
mean,
this season.
they lost to Georgia Tech.
Yeah, not. I mean, they're not. Georgia Tech is not a good team.
Do they have another loss in them? I think so.
Absolutely, they should have lost that game where they caught the Hail Mary too.
Yeah, they should have lost. And Cam Ward is good, but I just
He's a
think
good quarterback.
I've watched Mark again. I've said before, I watched Mark Cristobal at Oregon for 4 years. When it comes to crunch time, he makes some questionable calls,
I agree with you. I don't. I'm
and I
not.
watched it all of those years. All right, but my final question: we do this at the end of every show. We did not talk about the NFL at all, but I've been polling Super Bowl picks. I'm trying to get a sense of what the fans are thinking. So who do you got?
Um, I think the obvious choice and probably the most common answer is the Chiefs.
Okay, you're not the
It's
only
this
one.
the
All right,
NFL script is in.
so you're taking the Chiefs over
I would
who?
so if I was a betting man, I think I would bet this year either the Chiefs or the Lions,
All right, do you want Chiefs and Lions in a Super Bowl and one of them wins?
and the Lions win.
All right, so you want Lions over Chiefs. You
Yeah,
are actually not the only person who's guessed that. You are one of two people who have guessed that. Have you
I
ever won
think
as our Have you ever won as our good friend Ethan Ledwid, who you do not know? He's a friend of ours' boyfriend from Moden. You know who she is, but she's not a friend of the
yeah,
show, so I'll tell you later. But you know who she is.
yeah,
Uh, but yes, no. A lot of people put in Lions. A lot of people put in Chiefs. The big question is: are the Chiefs going to lose a game?
yes. They're
To
not going to replicate. So
All right.
under my prediction, they have to lose at least one game, and that should be
I
to the
mean,
Lions in the Super Bowl. But
okay,
but
regular
I
season.
I mean they
Uh,
almost lost yesterday
they
against the
should have
Broncos.
lost
I
yesterday.
agree.
All right,
That,
they got to go to Buffalo. And they got to go to Pittsburgh. I think they're going to lose one of those. It's probably going to be Pittsburgh.
Mahomes has Josh Allen's number.
It's going to be Pittsburgh. They're going to lose to Pittsburgh, and then maybe they'll lose like one for kicks to like the Texans.
Should I switch my prediction to not be as basic?
No, I like your. I'm not. No, don't go for it because I have no idea what I'm going to do if someone gets it right. Uh,
I'm going to change it. I'm going with the
okay.
Steelers.
You're going Steelers over
Yeah,
who?
I'm going Steelers to beat the Chiefs.
That can't be a Super Bowl.
I mean, sorry, the Lions.
All right. You are our first Steelers guess, actually. So I like this one. I made mine at the start of the season. I'm giving myself one mulligan. It's not going well. I said Packers over Bengals. It's not
It could
going
still
well.
happen. It could
It
still
could
happen.
totally happen, but Joe Burrow needs to get it together.
I mean, the last couple of weeks he's got it together.
I
It's
he Okay. Let me rephrase that. He has it together. The defense does. I can't remember if
yeah.
they even win on Thursday night. I don't even remember. I just know he threw four touchdowns.
They
They did
who did they
not win.
play? Who did they play?
No,
They
they
played.
lost to the Ravens by one,
Oh, right. They went for the 2 point conversion, didn't get
which
it
I'm all for, by the
on a
way. So
triple. It was a triple face mask play that the
yeah, it
refs
was
missed.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
Anyways, we're running out of time. This has been awesome. You're welcome on the show whenever you want. Great talking football. I'll see you at some point. All right,
sounds
big
good.
show.
Good.
We got what is shaping out to be a potentially chaotic weekend of college football. It all starts right at noon on Saturday with a big ACC matchup. Clemson is coming to Pittsburgh to take on a Pitt team that was playing really well, and now we're skidding a little. So this is a must-win game for both teams. I do think Clemson's a way better team. And I also think playing at Pittsburgh super hard. The energy they bring at a stadium is not the same when the Steelers play there. And also, we have another game that's probably being overlooked with Texas and Arkansas. We all know what happened last time Texas went out to Fayetteville. Arkansas absolutely ran all over them. Arkansas this year, though, is not particularly good, but they did beat Tennessee. They're frisky. So I think it's a trap game for a Texas team who has a relatively easy schedule in the SEC. So we're on a ton of games at noon that are like we're talking about. We're at the point of the season where a lot of teams have bye weeks, and also where a lot of SEC teams play some FCS teams. Again, I understand why we have games against FCS teams, but why do we have them in November? I was actually curious because, I'm a relatively new college football fan, I guess. So I did a little research. Apparently, it's to give SEC teams a break before rivalry weekend and to give seniors a proper send off of a win. And if this has only been a thing since 2000, it's a dumb tradition. Just play these games in September, make room for actual games in November. No one cares about Alabama playing Mercer. Like, no one wants to see that. Even though I don't like these games in November, I do have a take. I think Auburn's going to lose to Louisiana Monroe. The way Auburn's season has gone, this would be so fitting. And it would just be funny because they probably paid Louisiana Monroe a bunch of money to like come out to Auburn. So this would be very entertaining. There aren't too many games in that 3:30 slot either that are worth talking about. I do think there will be a big upset that happens. It's just a question of which one. And I do think that Boston College is going to give SMU a run for money, which is not a great take. It just feels like it could happen. But on Saturday night, we have a big game with Georgia and Tennessee. Georgia is in must-win mode after losing Ole Miss, and their offense isn't looking that sharp. And Carson Beck is not playing well. Tennessee, on the other hand, is a team that could easily beat Georgia, but it's hard to win in Athens, and Georgia's defense is still top-notch. But Georgia's not blowing teams out the way they used to, so this will be a close game. I think Tennessee has an opportunity to get another signature win, and I think it's going to be a really fun game. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be watching this one because I will be watching the Oregon Ducks at Camp Randall in Madison, Wisconsin as they take on the Badgers. Yes, I will be there. I'll be posting content. I think it's going to be a really fun game. It could be a trap game, but I'm not going to fly all this way to see the Ducks lose. So I think the way Badgers are playing, I think it'll be a tough environment, but I think the Ducks are built for this. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. We'll report back and see how I feel when I get back. Moving into the NFL, we got what's shaping up to be a fun weekend of football. It all starts on Thursday with the Commanders taking on the Eagles. This could be a fun game. The Eagles are clearly the stronghold of the division, and the Commanders are trying to change the narrative. I think the Commanders have an opportunity to make a statement in the division, and I think Jane Daniels is playing really well. And this is going to be an awesome Thursday night game. Moving to Sunday, no international games this weekend, but also not really a good early slot of games. I mean, there are a bunch of games that don't really matter. So we're only going to talk about two games, shockingly. Usually we do a little more, but like, you don't need to hear my 2 cents about games that with teams that suck. That's not important. So the two games that I think actually matter are the Packers and Bears, because Caleb Williams is going to learn what happens when the Bears play the Packers, and it's not going to go well for him. Was I scared of Caleb Williams? Sure, briefly, but I have no reason to worry about the Bears. They're in shambles. They're firing coaches right and left. It's over for the Bears, and the Packers defense is going to obliterate the Bears. The other game we should talk about is the Ravens and Steelers. I think this is the first time the Steelers are playing I'm take that back. I'm pretty sure this is the first time the Steelers are playing a division game this season. This is a big test. So the Steelers defense, it's elite. But can it stop Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry? And can the Ravens defense stop Russell Wilson? Which is not a sentence I thought I would be saying this year, but it seems like their offense is more competent with Russell Wilson. I wouldn't say better, but like it is a little better. They're scoring points, they're winning games. So yeah, it's a good offense. It's a weird offense, but it works. I do think this will be a fun game, and I'm looking forward to watching this one. Moving the afternoon, we only got three games, so at least they're decent games. Seahawks and 49ers, always a fun game. The Seahawks are looking for a win. They want to get their season somewhat on track. The 49ers are hoping to continue their big playoff push, and with Christian McCaffrey back, they're heading in the right direction. We also got a big game in Buffalo with the Chiefs coming into town to take on the Bills. Now, the Chiefs always find ways to beat Josh Allen and the Bills, but I do think this year the Chiefs fall to the Bills, at least in the regular season. The playoffs, different story, but I think this is the year they finally beat them in the regular season. The Chiefs are due for a loss. Buffalo will be chaotic. Bills Mafia will be out there in full force. I know we don't allow field storms in the NFL, but if a fan base was going to attempt one, it would be Bills Mafia. So come on, let's make it happen. Moving into Sunday night, we got what could be a fun game with the Bengals and Chargers. The Bengals need a win, and it's still a winnable game. The Chargers, I mean, they're perfectly average. They're getting better each week, but it, they're not, I wouldn't say they're a flashy team right now. They will get better. And the Bengals just can't afford to lose again. So this is a must-win game for the Bengals. And also, they're in must-win mode every week from now on. And on Monday night, we got the Cowboys, who are falling apart, taking on the Houston Texans, a team that's also crushed with injuries. I don't think this is going to be a very good game by any stretch, but I do have one bold take. I think a team from Texas is going to win this game. That's our show for this week. Thank you so much for watching. We will be back next week. Big Fred, over and out.